Dear friends, in this video I will be discussing regarding the unit number 3, the impact of British rule in India. In this unit we are going to learn about these concepts like administrative and judicial system, civil services, judicial system, police system and military system, the reforms introduced by the British in these fields, land tax policies like permanent zamindari system, mahalwari system, rayatwari system, modern education, Lord Macaulay Woods Commission, laws during British rule. They are also called constitutional developments. For example, Regulating Act, Pitt India Act, Charter Acts, etc. First important concept of this lesson is administrative and judicial system. British brought many changes in the field of civil services, the judicial system, police system and military system. First one, civil services. Lord Cornwallis introduced the administration of civil services, the system of appointing employees for the purpose of trade was done by the East India Company from the beginning. The company also provided permission for private workers to trade. By using these opportunities, employers made money, became corrupt through illegal means. So, to control this, in 1773 the Government of England implemented Regulating Act in India. The aim of Regulating Act was, the name suggests, to enforce control. In the year 1800, Lord Cornwallis opened Fort William College in Calcutta for the benefit of people aspiring to join civil services. But this initiation did not find support from the directors of the East India Company. As a result, all the appointments till 1853 were done by the directors. From 1853 onwards, the appointments for civil services were done through competitive examination. This did not benefit Indians much. The British continued to support the efficiency of the Indians. Lord Cornwallis argued all the natives of Hindustan are completely corrupt. As a result, only lower grade jobs were given to Indians. Judicial system. A new judicial system started finding roots when the British rule began taking over from the Mughal rule. After the Battle of Buxar, the Mughal Emperor Shah Alam handed over the Diwani rights. What do you mean by Diwani rights? The authority to collect land taxes to the British. With this, dual administration came into effect in Bengal region. This is also called as dual governance. Under this, the authority to collect land taxes, civil and judiciary were given to the Indian officials, whereas the British retained the authority of managing the revenue collected. Later on, the British thought of bringing more centralized judicial system in India. With the implementation of this system, the British overtook the authority of the Mughal and established their supremacy in India. This was attained by implementing new judicial system in India. According to the administrative plan devised by Warren Hastings, who took over the administration as governor in 1772, two types of courts were needed to be established in each district. First one, a Diwani Adalat. Diwani Adalat means civil court. A Fauzdari Adalat, which means criminal court. In these civil codes, Hindus were dispensed justice as per the Hindu scriptures and the Muslims as per the Shariat. Slowly, the British legal procedures were introduced in the criminal codes. Civil courts came under the administration of European officers. Though the criminal courts were under the control of Qazis, they were functioning under the supervision of European officers. Next, police system. The police are in charge of maintaining the internal law and order situation. Lord Cornwallis implemented the efficient police system in India for the first time. He created the new post of Superintendent of Police. The post of SP was first introduced by Lord Cornwallis. He divided a district into many stations and put every station under a kotwal. Similarly, he put every village under the care of Chowkidar. Kotwal was made accountable for thefts, crimes, and other law violations at village level. The severe drought of 1770 led to the weak law and order situation. Hence, the entire police system was brought under the control of the British officers. The system of appointing British magistrates started in 1781. The police officers were under the power of the magistrates. The police system underwent continuous changes. In 1861, the police law was implemented. This law is the base of good law and order administration. But Indians were not appointed for the post of officers. In 1902, the Police Commission Law allowed the appointment of suitable educational qualification for the post of the police officers. In spite of all these measures, the discrimination against the Indians did not end. Another important reforms was in the field of military system. The military was the base of administration during the British rule. The British appointed the Indians for the military and took the entire India under their control with the help of the military. They protected their supremacy by addressing the challenges posed by outside as well as inside forces with the help of the military. The officers were again the British. The Indians could reach the rank of Subedar, the highest post available to them. Most of the Indians were coolie soldiers. The British government accepted the recommendations of Peel in 1857. Based on these recommendations, the military system was redesigned. The military system was redesigned as per the recommendations of Peel in 1857. Another important concept of this lesson is land reforms. Three types of land reforms were introduced by the British here: permanent zamindar system, mahalwari system, rayatwari system. Permanent zamindar system. Lord Cornwallis implemented a new land tax policy in Bengal and Bihar regions during 1793 in order to generate steady revenue per annum. This was called permanent zamindari system. Under this system, zamindar became the landowner. The zamindar was expected to pay the agreed land taxes to the company on a set date every year. He was free to collect any amount of land taxes from the farmers and could retain the excess money collected. This benefited the zamindar more. If the zamindar was unable to collect land taxes due to floods and famine and pay the company, the ownership of the land was taken away by the company. Both the zamindars and the company were benefited by this system, but the farmers were the grave sufferers. This system created a new social group that aided the British. The farmers, the farming laborers suffered due to irregular working opportunities in the farming lands. They were exploited and had to lead a life of insecurity. This system was extended to Bihar, Odisha, Andhra and Varanasi regions later. According to Charles Metcalfe, the Indian farmers were born in debt, lived in debt, and died in debt due to the land tax policies of the British. Second one, Mahalwari system. The company government entered an agreement at the level of mahals with regard to payment of land tax in Uttar Pradesh, in many parts of Madhya Pradesh, Punjab and Delhi. Mahal means Taluk, R.M. Bird and James Thompson implemented this system. There were differences in the implementation of this system from region to region. The big and small zamindars were part of this system. Since the company officials fixed more land tax than the expected production from the fields, many zamindars had to lose their ownership of the lands. The marginal farmers and agricultural laborers who were dependent on these zamindars also suffered due to this. Third important land reform was Rayatwari system. The Rayatwari system was first implemented in Baramal region by Alexander Reed in 1792. This system was later implemented in Madras and Mysore region by Thomas Munro in the year 1801. Most of these regions had become part of British Empire by that time. Under this system, both the farmers and the company were directly linked. The tillers of the land was recognized as the owner of the land. The owner had to pay 50% of procedure as land tax to the company government. The land tax had 30 years tenure. The tax could be reviewed after this tenure. Though the small farmers were given land ownership, they were subjected to more suffering due to heavy land taxes. The officials took punitive actions to collect land taxes. The farmers had to borrow from the money lenders whenever the crops failed. They had to sell their lands whenever they failed to repay the loans. Though the company government claimed that the new system benefits the farmers, the irony was that more farmers had to lose their lands due to its implications. What were the impact of British land tax system? A new class of zamindars who exploited the farmers was created. The farmers who were subjected to the exploitation of zamindars became landless slowly. Land became a commodity. Loans could be raised by mortgaging the lands. Many zamindars also had to mortgage their lands in order to pay the land taxes. The agriculture sector became commercialized and had to grow raw materials needed by industries back in England. The money lenders became very, very strong. Another important concept is the modern education system. The traditional education of Indians was in practice continuously. Certain changes occurred in the traditional education system during the rule of Muslim kings during the Middle Ages. Later, new changes occurred during the British rule during 18th century. New schools were started for the children of British and Europeans living in India. Since these facilities were never extended to the locals, it was no use for them. Warren Hastings facilitated the expansion of modern education in India. In 1781, he started Calcutta Madrasa. Jonathan Duncan, a British individual, started Sanskrit College in Banaras in 1792, but it was Charles Grant who pressed for the universalization of British education in India. The expansion of the British education in India received special support after the appointment of Lord William Bentinck in 1828 as the Governor General of India. because Bentinck appointed Macaulay as the member of Governor General's Executive Committee. Macaulay was also appointed as the chairman of the Committee on Education. The report on education submitted by him in 1835 became the base of the modern education in India. In his policy aimed at the creation of a new class of Indians who are Indian by body but British in intelligence, opinion and taste. The use of English medium in Indian learning system started after 1830. Another important development included the establishment of universities in India. The Governor General Lord Dalhousie established universities in Calcutta, Bombay and Madras as per the suggestions of Charles Wood Commission. After this, the education started becoming universalized in India. What were the impact of British education in India? Indians could develop modernity, secularism, democratic attitudes and rationality along with nationalistic ideas. Along with nationalistic ideals. Impetus was received for the local literature and languages. This facilitated unity in thinking process among the educated class. Periodicals started emerging. These scrutinized the policies and working of the government, which in turn enabled the Indians to have critical opinions on various issues. New social and religious reformation movements emerged. The thoughts of thinkers like J.S. Mill, Rousseau and Montesquieu brought fresh thinking in the mind of educated youth of India. The freedom struggles that were taking place across the globe influenced the Indians also. Indians could understand and appreciate their rich tradition. Last important concept of this lesson is constitutional development. Here we can see different kinds of act. Regulating Act, after that Charter Act of 1833, Indian Council Act of 1892, Indian Council Act of 1909, Indian Council Act of 1861, the Charter Act of 1813, Pitt's India Act of 1784, Indian Government Act of 1858, Indian Council Act of 1919, Indian Government Act of 1935. We may expect one act from the exam point of view. That's why we must give importance to these concepts. Now, let's have a look. First one, Regulating Act. Regulating Act was introduced in the 1773. Before the implementation of the Act, there were three presidencies under British rule. They are Bengal, Madras and Bombay. All these three were independent administrative units. Under Regulating Act, the Bengal presidency gained control over the other two presidencies. The governor of Bengal became the governor general of all the three presidencies. The governor general was authorized to direct, exercise control and to supervise over other two presidencies. The Bombay and Madras presidencies could not declare war on anyone or enter into peace agreements without prior approval of the Governor General of Bengal Presidency and the Board of Directors of the company. Only during acute emergencies they were entitled to act independently. According to Regulating Act, Supreme Court of Judicature was established in Calcutta. In this central court, one Chief Justice and three ordinary judges were there. Like this, as the name of Regulating Act suggests, the act was aimed at regulating the company affairs and its administration in India. Second one, Pitt's India Act, which was introduced in 1784. There were many inconsistencies in the Regulating Act of 1773. In order to rectify them and also to outline the powers of the East India Company and the British government, Pitt's India Act was implemented. The government of England restricted the powers of the East India Company. A new constitution named Board of Controllers consisting of 6 commissioners, was started. The Board of Controllers replaced the Board of Directors. This board had powers to direct and control the issues related to land taxes, military and civil areas. The Board of Control came into existence in the place of Board of Directors. This act declared that the Indians have attained their paramount power in the name of the British Empire only, but not on their own, and curtailed the political rights of Indians conclusively. It declared that the areas under the possession of the East India Company are the integral part of the British Empire. Hence, the government of England is the ultimate ruler of India. The Charter Act of 1813. This act licensed the East India Company to stay for another 20 years in India. Before the implementation of this act, a demand to allow any interested person to carry out trade in India was there. This act allowed this demand and authorized all interested persons to carry out trade in India. With this act, the free trade era started in India. Second point, a new era of license and authorization started. Third point, the Board of Directors was vested with the powers to appoint the Governor General and the Commander in Chief. The churches were allowed to enter India officially. The Christian missionaries were directed to enrich the knowledge of Indians and also enhance the moral and spiritual life of Indians. Many Christian missionaries started arriving in India after this act. The expansion of Christianity and English education started taking place. Next act is the Charter Act of 1833. The Governor General of Bengal was named as the Governor General of India. The Governor General was vested with powers to direct, control and supervising all trades in India. The central government of Bengal had the final right to decide on issues like war, peace and diplomatic relationship with the princely states of India. The Governor General was mandated to put his difference of opinion with the executive committee members in writing whenever he differed with the majority opinion. The act barred any discrimination based on religion, birth, and skin color. The Governor General was mandated to appoint a law professional as member to his executive committee. All British companies were allowed to have trade relationship in India. Next act, Indian Government Act 1858. The license of East India Company was cancelled and India was brought under the direct administration of the Queen. The post of Governor General was changed into Viceroy. Lord Canning became the first Viceroy of India. A new post called Secretary of State for India was created in the British government. The Secretary was part of British cabinet and was responsible for the administration of India. A Council of India was created in order to assist the Secretary in the administration. The Council had 15 members. Next act, Indian Council Act of 1861. This is an important act that came into effect after 1857. With this act, Indians were allowed to participate in the process of creating laws. In order to understand the aspirations of Indians, representation was given to Indians. This is called as policy of assertion. The following are the important features of this act. First one, Indians were nominated to the Council of Viceroy as non-official members. Viceroy was authorized to proclaim ordinances in case of emergency. Next important act, Indian Council Act of 1892. The number of additional members in the regional and central legislative bodies was increased. The Legislative Council authority was increased further by allowing discussion on budget related issues. provision was made to question the government on public issues by serving 6 days notice in advance. Another important act, Minto-Morley Reforms or Indian Council Act of 1909. This act is also called as Minto-Morley Reformation Act. During the formation and implementation of this act, Lord Minto was the Viceroy of India and Lord Morley was the Secretary of State for India. That's why this act is called as Minto-Morley Reformation Act. This act was used to divide and rule India. The following are the important features of this act. First one, the total number of Central Legislative Council members was increased to 60 from 16. The number of regional council members was also increased. Representation of the regional council was allowed through election for the first time. In order to provide separate representation for Muslims, separate electorate college was created. Next important act, Indian Council Act of 1919. Since Indians took active part in the First World War, Lord Montagu, who was the Secretary of State for India, argued in favor of providing more representations to Indians in the matter of administration. He was in favor of allowing people's participation in the formation of government gradually. Lord Chelmsford, who the Viceroy then declared various reformative measures to the British Parliament on August 20, 1917. The Indian Council Act of 1919 was formulated by accepting this report. This act is also called as Montagu-Chelmsford Reformative Act. The following are the important features of this act. First one, Act formulated bicameral legislative body, lower house and upper house were formed. Hierarchy was allowed at regional governments. An High Commissioner was appointed for India. Promised to improve local self-government. Provisional budget was separated from central budget. Separate electoral college was extended for Muslims. 6. Indian Councils Act of 1935. This act acted as the base for the formation of Indian Constitution. The report submitted in 1928 under the leadership of Motilal Nehru was instrumental in the formation of the act. Most of the provisions in the Indian Constitution are based on this act. This act allowed the formation of fully responsible government by Indians. This act was applicable both to Indian principalities and also to the British Indian regions. The following are the important features of this act. A federal system of Indian principalities, British governed regions and dominion states was formed. Reserve Bank of India was established. Hierarchy was established at the center. Hierarchy was cancelled at the regional level and autonomy was granted. The federal court was established. Now, important questions from this lesson. What are the important features of Indian Government Act of 1935? How does the India Government Act of 1935 became the base of Indian Constitution? What are the important features of 1919 Act? What were the main aspects of Rayatwari system? What were the effects of British land taxes? Make a list of the effects of modern education in India. What were the restrictions imposed in regulating act? Explain the permanent zamindar system. Explain the Mahalwari system. What are the important features of the Charter Act of 1830? What are the important features of Indian Council Act or Minto-Morley Reformation Act of 1909? Illustrate the judicial system formulated through East India Company. What are the measures undertaken at the time of British in police system? In permanent zamindar system, the Indian farmers were born in debt, lived in debt and died in debt. How? explain the reforms introduced by the British in the field of education.